The soft blue glow of her tablet illuminated He-Jin's face as she lounged on her plush couch, her legs tucked beneath her. Outside her apartment window, Seoul's skyline twinkled with its usual evening brilliance, but her attention remained fixed on the advertisement that had popped up on her social media feed. "Find your perfect match across all horizons," the ad promised, showing what He-Jin assumed were artistically rendered 3D models of attractive people. The graphics were impressive, almost too realistic, with an otherworldly quality that made her pause. Still, after 3 years of focusing solely on her career as a contract lawyer, she decided it might be time to dip her toes back into the dating pool. The app's installation was seamless, though she found it odd that it required a full body scan and medical history. Dating standards must have really changed since she last tried, she thought. The questionnaire that followed was exhaustively detailed, covering everything from her professional qualifications to her genetic history. He-Jin attributed this to the app's supposed eye matching system. As she filled out her profile, her apartment's eye assistant chimed in. "Ms. Lee, would you like me to verify your credentials for the application?" "Yes, please do," He-Jin replied absently, still scrolling through the extensive form. She barely noticed when her professional certificates and legal licenses were automatically uploaded to her profile. The matching algorithm began working immediately. He-Jin watched in fascination as holographic profiles materialized in her living room. The technology was impressive. She could walk around each profile, examining the detailed information displayed. She assumed it was some new augmented reality feature. One profile in particular caught her attention. The name displayed was Reiko, and the professional credentials were impressive. Senior Arbitrator of Interplanetary Disputes. He-Jin chuckled at the creative job title. The gaming and role-play community really went all out these days. "Interesting profile," she murmured, reaching out to rotate the holographic display. They must have spent a fortune on this character design. The messages started flowing naturally. Reiko was articulate, intelligent, and seemed genuinely interested in Earth's legal systems. He-Jin found herself drawn into long discussions about contract law, enjoying what she assumed was some very dedicated role-play. "Your understanding of contractual obligations is fascinating," Reiko wrote. "I would very much enjoy discussing this further in person. Would you be amenable to meeting at a physical location of your choosing?" He-Jin hesitated. Meeting someone from the internet always carried risks, but something about Reiko's formal way of writing and obvious intelligence intrigued her. Besides, she reasoned, they could meet somewhere public. "There's a new restaurant in Gangnam I've been wanting to try," she replied. "How about tomorrow evening?" The response was immediate. "I accept these terms. Please be advised that I will arrive via standard transportation protocols. Shall we say 19 o'clock local time?" He-Jin confirmed the time, amused by how well Reiko stayed in character. She spent the rest of the evening reviewing case files, occasionally glancing at the dating app's interface. The holographic displays seemed to become more detailed as night fell, showing what appeared to be strange architectural designs and unfamiliar scripts floating in the background. Just before bed, her apartment AI spoke up again. "Ms. Lee, shall I prepare your formal documentation for tomorrow's meeting?" "What documentation?" He-Jin asked, puzzled. "It's just a dinner date." The app has flagged this as a potential preliminary matching event. Standard protocols suggest bringing identification and professional credentials. He-Jin shrugged. Sure, why not? Better to be over-prepared. She had learned that lesson well in her legal career. As she drifted off to sleep, her tablet continued displaying the app's interface, its alien symbols casting strange shadows on her ceiling. In her last moments of consciousness, she thought she saw what looked like a small spacecraft crossing the Seoul skyline, but surely that was just her imagination. She had no way of knowing that across the city, in what appeared to be a normal office building, Reiko was carefully studying Earth customs and trying to decide which of their 4 sets of formal attire would be most appropriate for a human first date. The bureaucrats at the Interstellar Dating Agency had assured them that humans were ready for integration into the galactic dating scene, but this would be the first test case in Seoul. Tomorrow would prove to be very interesting indeed, though not in any way Hejin could have anticipated. As she slept peacefully, the wheels of interstellar bureaucracy were already turning, and somewhere in the vast database of the Galactic Central Registry, a preliminary file was being created with her name on it. The stars twinkled innocently above Seoul that night, keeping their secrets about just how much Hejin's life was about to change. After all, what could possibly go wrong with a simple dinner date? Hejin adjusted her blazer one final time as she walked through the doors of the upscale restaurant in Gangnam. The maitre d' greeted her with a polite bow, checking her reservation with practiced efficiency. The restaurant's interior was stunning, with what appeared to be floating lights and surfaces that seemed to shift colors subtly as people walked past them. "Your dining companion has already arrived," the maitre d' informed her, leading the way through the restaurant. "They requested our private section." Something about the way he said "they" made Hejin pause, but she brushed it off as her lawyer's tendency to overanalyze everything. She followed him past the main dining area, noticing that the private section seemed to have unusually high ceilings and larger spaces between tables. The first thing she noticed was the height. Raiko stood to greet her, and kept standing and standing, easily 7 feet tall. The second thing she noticed was the iridescent skin that seemed to shift colors like mother of pearl. The third thing was the crystalline hair that caught the light and refracted it in impossible ways. Hejin's legal training kicked in, keeping her face professionally neutral even as her mind raced to process what she was seeing. She found herself automatically extending her hand for a handshake before realizing that might not be appropriate for whatever species Raiko was. "Greetings, Hejin Lee." Raiko's voice was melodious, with an almost musical quality. "I appreciate your punctuality. I have taken the liberty of ordering refreshments suitable for human consumption." Hejin sat down, her mind still working overtime. "I thank you. I must admit, I wasn't expecting." Was my species designation not clear on my profile? Raiko's crystalline features arranged themselves into what might have been concern. "I am Nixian, of course. We've been part of Earth's dating pool since the integration agreement last month." Hejin took a long sip of water, buying time to think. "Last month's integration agreement," she repeated slowly. "The one that made all the headlines about expanding cultural exchange programs." "Precisely." Raiko nodded, the movement causing their crystalline hair to create a cascade of rainbow reflections. "Though I'm now concerned there may have been some miscommunication. You did download the Interstellar Dating Network app, correct?" The waiter arrived with their drinks, something blue and gently steaming for Raiko, and what appeared to be a normal glass of wine for Hejin. She had never been more grateful for alcohol in her life. "I downloaded what I thought was a normal dating app," Hejin admitted, taking a careful sip of her wine. "The technology was impressive, but I assumed it was just advanced AR." Raiko's laughter sounded like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "Oh, this is delightful. A genuine miscommunication scenario. You know, these make the best stories at interspecies relations conferences." Something about their amusement helped Hejin relax slightly. "Well, as long as we're here, we might as well have dinner. I'd love to hear more about your work as an arbitrator of interplanetary disputes." "That must be fascinating." "Indeed. Just last week, I mediated a territory dispute between silicon-based life forms over mining rights to a gas giant. But I'm more interested in your work with Earth contract law. Your profile indicates several impressive victories in corporate arbitration." As they ordered their meals, Hejin was relieved to see the menu had a clear Earth cuisine section. The conversation flowed naturally into a discussion of legal systems across different species. Hejin found herself thoroughly engaged, her initial shock giving way to professional curiosity. "The challenge," Raiko explained, gesturing with an elegant hand that seemed to shimmer in the light, is creating binding agreements between species that perceive time differently. How do you enforce contract terms with a species that experiences all time simultaneously? You'd need to define the terms from their perspective. He-Jin replied thoughtfully, perhaps using events rather than time periods as markers for obligations. Reiko's features brightened literally, their skin glowing slightly. Exactly. Oh, you have such an intuitive grasp of interspecies law. This is proving to be a most satisfactory first meeting. The evening continued, and He-Jin found herself increasingly comfortable. Reiko was intelligent, thoughtful, and had a dry sense of humor that appealed to her. They shared stories about difficult clients, though Reiko's typically involved more tentacles and occasional violations of physics. As they finished their meals, He-Jin with traditional Korean dishes, Reiko with something that seemed to be primarily composed of light, Reiko grew slightly more formal. I have greatly enjoyed our interaction, they said, their tone carrying additional musical notes that hadn't been present before. Would you consider this initial meeting satisfactory for progression to the next stage? Next stage? He-Jin asked, but before Reiko could explain, they both rose and exchanged what He-Jin thought was a formal bow goodbye. As she walked home that night, He-Jin found herself smiling. Sure, she had accidentally gone on a date with an alien, but it had actually been one of her better dates in recent memory. Maybe she would keep the app after all. She had no way of knowing that the bow she had exchanged with Reiko had specific cultural significance among Nixians, or that even now, official documentation was being prepared based on their mutual gesture of respect. The Seoul night sky seemed different to her now, knowing what, and who, was really out there. As she walked, a shooting star crossed the sky, though she had to wonder now if it was really a star at all. Tomorrow would bring surprises she couldn't imagine, but for now, He-Jin was content with the knowledge that she had just experienced something truly unique. After all, how many lawyers could say they'd discussed contract law with a crystalline alien over dinner in Gangnam? The morning after her unusual date, He-Jin was enjoying her coffee when her apartment's AI system chimed with an urgent notification. A holographic document materialized in her living room, its text floating in the air in both Korean and an elegant, flowing script she didn't recognize. Priority diplomatic correspondence received, the AI announced. Shall I begin formal document processing? He-Jin set down her coffee cup and walked around the hovering text. The header caught her eye immediately. Preliminary Breeding Partnership Evaluation Agreement. She blinked hard, wondering if she was still asleep. Computer, please verify this document's authenticity, she said, her lawyer's instincts kicking in despite her shock. Document verified. Originating from the Nixian Embassy, countersigned by the Earth's Interspecies Relations Bureau. Time-sensitive response required within 1 Earth rotation. He-Jin sat down heavily on her couch, her mind racing. The document continued to hover before her, sections highlighting themselves as she read through them. According to the text, her formal bow with Reiko last night had constituted a preliminary acceptance of breeding partnership evaluation under Nixian law. Her phone buzzed with an incoming call. The caller ID showed an unfamiliar symbol alongside a government prefix. Taking a deep breath, she answered. Ms. Lee, a crisp voice said, this is Administrator Yoon from the Korean Extraterrestrial Relations Office. I trust you've received the documentation. I have it in front of me right now, He-Jin replied, her professional tone hiding her internal panic. Though I believe there's been a misunderstanding. Yes, we suspected as much when we saw the filing. You're actually the first human to enter into a Nixian breeding contract negotiation. Quite historic, really. He-Jin pinched the bridge of her nose. Administrator Yoon, I didn't intend to enter into any contract. I just went on a date. Ah, but you did exchange the formal bow of mutual intellectual appreciation with your Nixian companion, correct? After a discussion of legal systems and professional achievements. Well, yes, but in Nixian culture, That specific combination of actions constitutes formal intent to begin breeding partnership evaluation. Their species takes intellectual compatibility very seriously in these matters. The holographic document shifted, displaying a new section about cultural significance and legal precedent. He-Jin found herself automatically reading through it, her legal training taking over despite the bizarre situation. The contract terms are quite interesting. She mused aloud, then caught herself. Not that I'm accepting this. I didn't know what the bow meant. Of course not, Administrator Yoon said smoothly. That's why you have 24 hours to prepare your formal response. I'm sending over our xenocultural specialist to assist you. He should arrive in approximately. He-Jin's doorbell chimed. Ah, he's there already. Good luck, Ms. Lee. This could be an excellent opportunity for human-Nixian relations. The call ended, and He-Jin's door opened to reveal a young man carrying several data pads and what appeared to be a small crystal sphere. Lee He-Jin, I'm Minho from the XCR office. I bring greetings and congratulations on your historic. I'm not actually planning to go through with this, He-Jin interrupted. Minho set down his materials and activated the crystal sphere, which projected additional documents into the air. That's perfectly understandable. However, we should discuss the implications of refusing a Nixian breeding evaluation. Their species considers intellectual compatibility to be sacred. A rejection without proper cultural consideration could impact several pending trade agreements. He-Jin's legal mind caught the implications immediately. Are you saying my dating mishap could cause a diplomatic incident? Not if handled properly, Minho replied, pulling up more documents. The Nixian legal system is actually quite flexible. They respect intellectual discourse and logical argument. If you can present a culturally sensitive case. He-Jin found herself walking around the floating documents again, this time paying closer attention to the legal frameworks outlined within. Something about the contract structure seemed familiar. This section here, she pointed, about mutual benefit and cultural exchange. It's similar to Earth's commercial partnership laws. Minho nodded enthusiastically. Yes, Nixian breeding contracts are more like business arrangements than what we consider marriage. They're primarily concerned with the exchange and preservation of knowledge. He-Jin's phone buzzed again. A message from Raiko. I hope you have received the preliminary documentation. I look forward to your response and trust you will find the terms intellectually stimulating. Looking at the message, He-Jin felt her panic giving way to professional curiosity. The contract was actually quite elegantly structured, with clear provisions for cultural differences and knowledge exchange. Minho, she said slowly, tell me more about how Nixian contract negotiations work, and why exactly did they integrate with Earth's dating pool last month? For the next several hours, He-Jin's apartment became a study in xenolegal relations. She learned that Nixians have been observing Earth's legal systems with great interest, that their species reproduced through a complex process involving the merger of both physical and intellectual traits, and that they considered lawyers to be among the most desirable breeding partners due to their logical minds and argumentative capabilities. By evening, He-Jin had drafted a preliminary response, not an acceptance, but not quite a rejection either. Instead, she proposed a formal negotiation session to discuss the cultural implications and potential modifications to the standard contract terms. This is actually quite good, Minho said, reviewing her draft. You've cited their own legal precedents regarding cross-species cultural adaptation. Very clever. He-Jin sent the response, then sat back with a sigh. I still can't believe this is happening. 24 hours ago, I thought I was just trying a new dating app. Young Mi's heart raced as she realized she was communicating directly with the ship's legendary AI. Hello, Atlas, she typed back. I'm honored to meet you. The honor is mine, the AI responded. I have been observing your work. Your approach to understanding our systems is innovative. The original engineers would have approved. More displays around the engineering bay came to life. showing schematics and technical data. Young Mai realized that HFY wasn't just answering her questions, it was choosing to trust her with the ship's secrets. The Invictus is unique, Atlas explained. What you see as outdated technology is merely a facade. Observe. A holographic display appeared, showing the ship's true configuration. Layer after layer of advanced systems had been hidden beneath seemingly primitive exteriors. This is incredible, Young Mai breathed, studying the designs. These quantum field generators, they're centuries ahead of our current technology. And these sensor arrays, they're designed to detect something specific, aren't they? Correct, Atlas confirmed. The Invictus was built to face a threat that exists in the spaces between dimensions. Our enemy cannot be fought with conventional weapons. They slip through the cracks in reality itself. The AI shared more technical data, showing Young Mai how the ship's systems work together. The weapons weren't just tools of destruction. They were precisely calibrated instruments designed to seal breaches in space-time. During the Great War, Atlas continued, humanity faced enemies they could see and understand. But there was another conflict happening beneath the surface. The Invictus was a prototype, a test platform for technologies that could detect and counter interdimensional incursions. Young Mai worked through the night, learning from Atlas. The AI explained how the ship's seemingly primitive armor was actually composed of exotic materials that could phase between dimensions. The massive power core didn't just generate energy. It created stable pockets of reality that could trap and contain beings from other dimensions. Why reveal all this now? She asked as she studied another set of schematics. Why trust us with these secrets? Because the signs have returned, Atlas replied. The same patterns we detected before the first incursion are appearing again. Humanity needs to be ready. And you understand our systems in ways few others could. The engineering bay hummed with activity as more systems came online. Young Mai watched in amazement as technology she had thought dead or obsolete revealed its true nature. The Invictus wasn't just a warship. It was humanity's shield against horrors that existed beyond normal space and time. There is much work to be done, Atlas told her. The ship's systems must be fully restored. Will you help us prepare for what's coming? Young Mai looked around at the enormous engineering bay, at the technology that represented humanity's greatest achievement and best hope for survival. Yes, she answered firmly. Show me what needs to be done. Over the next several hours, Atlas guided her through the ship's systems. Each discovery revealed new layers of complexity and purpose. The massive engines weren't just for propulsion. They could bend space itself, creating safe corridors through dimensional anomalies. The weapon systems were equally remarkable. What had appeared to be standard energy cannons were actually sophisticated devices capable of targeting threats that existed partially outside normal spacetime. The ship was designed to appear less advanced than it truly was, Atlas explained. This deception protected our secrets during the war. Even now, there are forces that would misuse this technology if they knew it existed. Young Mai understood the importance of their work. The Invictus wasn't just a relic to be studied. It was humanity's first and best defense against a threat most people didn't even know existed. As she worked with Atlas to bring more systems online, she could feel the ship coming alive around her. The ancient vessel had been waiting for this moment, preserving its secrets until they were needed again. We are fortunate, Atlas told her, that you and your colleagues found us when you did. The timing is not coincidental. The threat is returning, and the Invictus must be ready. Young Mai nodded, determination filling her as she continued her work. The fate of humanity might well depend on their ability to understand and restore this remarkable ship. As she delved deeper into the Invictus's systems, she knew she was part of something far greater than a simple archaeological expedition. The ship had chosen to reveal its secrets to them, and she would make sure those secrets were put to good use. The ancient dreadnought was awakening, and with Atlas's guidance, they would prepare it for the battle that was coming. a battle against enemies that lurked in the spaces between dimensions, waiting to break through into our reality once again. The first warning came as a subtle disturbance in the Invictus's quantum detection grid. Young May noticed it during her routine system check, a faint ripple in what should have been empty space. Within hours, similar readings appeared across different sectors of the galaxy. Jin Park stood on the bridge of the Invictus, watching as Atlas displayed the spreading anomalies on the main tactical screen. Red dots marked each disturbance, forming a pattern that grew more disturbing by the hour. These energy signatures, Hannah Kim said, studying the data from her station. They're identical to the ones recorded in Admiral Song's files, the ones that appeared before the first incursion. Correct, Atlas confirmed, its voice calm but urgent. The dimensional barriers are weakening. What we feared has begun. Sang-Ho Lee's fingers moved rapidly across his console as he analyzed the incoming data. The disturbances are appearing in a specific pattern. They're not random. They're forming a network. The tactical display updated, showing lines connecting the anomalies. The pattern looked almost like a web, with each intersection point marking a potential breach in spacetime. This is why the Invictus was preserved, Jin realized, watching the pattern expand. It wasn't just a weapon system, it was an early warning network. The ship's sensors were designed to detect these precise energy signatures. Atlas brought up additional displays, showing detailed scans of the disturbances. The enemy's method has not changed. They create weak points in our reality, preparing for a full-scale incursion. During the Great War, we discovered their pattern too late. This time, we have warning. Young Mi's voice came over the comm system from engineering. The ship's defensive systems are fully operational. The quantum barriers are charged and ready. Whatever's coming, we can detect it. The team had spent weeks restoring the Invictus's systems, learning its true capabilities. What had seemed like ordinary sensors and weapons were actually part of an integrated defense system designed to protect entire sectors of space from interdimensional invasion. New contact, Sang-Ho announced suddenly. Sector 7, Grid Point Alpha. Something's coming through. The tactical display zoomed in on the location. A tear in spacetime was forming, its edges rippling with strange energies that defied normal physics. Through the breach, something began to emerge. Recording all sensor data, Hannah said, her voice steady despite the tension. The energy signature matches perfectly with the historical records. This is it. This is what they were preparing for. The being that emerged from the breach was difficult to look at directly. It seemed to exist partially in normal space and partially somewhere else, its form shifting and changing as it moved. The Invictus's sensors tracked it perfectly, displaying its true nature in ways human eyes couldn't process. Dimensional anchor engage, Young Mai reported from engineering. Quantum field generators at full power. We can hold it here. Atlas activated a series of specialized systems. Beams of energy that didn't seem to follow normal physical laws lanced out from the Invictus, creating a containment field around the entity. The creature reacted, trying to slip back between dimensions, but the ship's technology kept it anchored in normal space. The containment is working, Jin observed, watching the readings, just like it was designed to do. The Invictus isn't just detecting these things, it can trap them. More breaches were appearing across the galaxy, but now they had a way to fight back. The Invictus's early warning system was giving them the advantage they needed, allowing them to respond before the incursions could spread. Alert coming in from Earth Defense Command, Hannah announced. They're detecting the anomalies too, but their sensors can't get clear readings. They don't understand what they're seeing. Jin made a decision. Send them our data. Show them what we're dealing with. The Invictus was preserved for this moment, to warn humanity and give us a fighting chance. Atlas compiled the sensor data, along with historical records and technical specifications. Transmission ready. This knowledge was hidden to protect humanity until it was needed. Now is the time to share it. As the information was transmitted to Earth's defense forces, more ships began arriving in the sector. Modern vessels, powerful but blind to the true nature of the threat they faced. The Invictus would be their guide, showing them how to detect and fight an enemy that existed between dimensions. Multiple breaches forming, Sang-Ho reported. The incursion is accelerating. They know we can see them now. Jin looked at the tactical display, watching as more red dots appeared. The enemy that humanity had prepared for centuries ago was finally revealing itself. But this time, they weren't caught unprepared. This time, they had the Invictus. Begin full defensive operations, he ordered. Show our allies what this ship can really do. The Invictus was built for this moment. Let's make sure we use it well. The ancient dreadnought systems hummed with power as it prepared for battle. After 3 centuries of waiting, its true purpose was clear. The ship wasn't just a relic of the past. It was humanity's best hope for surviving what was coming through the cracks in reality itself. The war that Admiral Song had foreseen was beginning. But thanks to the Invictus and its early warning systems, humanity would not face it blind. The ship had awakened at exactly the right moment, ready to fulfill its destiny as guardian of not just human space, but of reality itself. Young Ms. Hands moved with practiced precision across the Invictus's engineering controls. Around her, systems that had appeared dead just weeks ago pulsed with renewed energy. The massive engine core hummed with a sound unlike anything produced by modern ships, a deep resonance that seemed to vibrate through multiple dimensions at once. Power flow stabilized to all main systems, she reported through the ship's comm. At last, how are the quantum linkages holding? All connections are secure, the AI responded. The disguise protocols have been fully deactivated. The ship's true capabilities are now accessible. On the bridge, Jin Park watched in amazement as panels and displays that had seemed primitive transformed before his eyes. Holographic interfaces sprouted from what had appeared to be simple metal surfaces. Weapon systems that had looked like standard energy cannons revealed themselves to be far more sophisticated devices. The deception is remarkable, Hannah Kim said, studying the technical readouts. Every system was designed with 2 layers, what others could see, and what it actually was. Even our most advanced modern scanners would have been fooled. Sang-Ho worked at his station, mapping the ship's transformed systems. The weapon systems are like nothing I've ever seen. These aren't just guns, they're dimensional anchors. They can target something in one reality and hit it in another. Young Mi's voice came over the comm again. You should see the engines. What looked like standard fusion drives are actually reality displacement generators. This ship doesn't just move through space. It can step between dimensions. Atlas began displaying the Invictus's true specifications on the main screen. The ship's capabilities were staggering. Its shields didn't just block attacks. They shifted portions of the ship partially out of phase with normal spacetime. Weapons could strike targets that existed between dimensions. The sensors could detect disturbances in reality itself. The quantum core is fully operational, Young Mi reported. Main power at 100%. Atlas, shall we begin the full systems test? Proceed, the AI confirmed. All crew, prepare for dimensional shift test. The team felt a strange sensation as the Invictus's true nature emerged. Reality seemed to flex around them. As advanced systems activated, what had appeared to be normal metal walls now shimmed with energy that didn't belong to any known spectrum. Quantum weapons online, Sang-Ho announced. Targeting systems calibrated for cross-dimensional tracking. We can engage threats in normal space or between realities. Hannah monitored the sensor readings. The detection grid is active. We can track dimensional disturbances across entire sectors. Nothing can slip through reality without us seeing it. Haiyun stepped forward, her 4 eyes fixed on Sujin. Someone wants to suppress your atmospheric conversion technology. They were willing to violate galactic law to do it. Planetary Reclamation Corporation, Taimin added, his tentacles bringing up a holographic display. They hired us through shell companies, hoping to avoid detection. Su-Jin watched as the evidence appeared in the air between them. Documents, communication logs, money trails. Her expression remained neutral, but her eyes showed growing understanding. "Why are you telling me this?" she asked. "Why not just complete your contract?" "Because we choose our own path," Jai-Ho responded, his organic eye meeting hers. "And we don't appreciate being manipulated. We were meant to be pawns in their game, used and discarded while they destroyed your work. Your invention could help billions." Du-Yun rumbled. "We won't let them stop that." Su-Jin walked slowly around the holographic display, examining the evidence. "I knew they would try something," she admitted, "but I didn't expect this level of coordination." "They're desperate," Hye-Yun explained. "Your technology would make their entire business model obsolete. They're willing to risk everything to stop you." "We can protect you," Jai-Ho offered, "help you expose their plot. But we need your trust." Su-Jin turned to face him directly. "Why should I trust you? You were hired to kidnap me." "Because we're standing here talking to you instead of stunning you and loading you onto our ship," Jai-Ho replied simply. "Because we respect what you're trying to achieve. And because we have proof of their conspiracy." Tan Min's scales shifted to a gentle blue as he added more details to the display. "They've been meeting with other terraforming companies, forming a coalition to suppress your technology. We've documented everything." Su-Jin studied the new information, her scientific mind analyzing the patterns. "If we expose this, they'll lose everything," Du-Yun confirmed. "Their contracts, their licenses. The Galactic Council takes violations of human protection very seriously. But we need to move carefully," Hye-Yun cautioned. "They're powerful, and they're watching. One wrong move could alert them." Su-Jin walked to the dome's edge, looking out at the stars. Her work could make those distant worlds habitable, give homes to countless species. She couldn't let anyone stop that. "What's your plan?" she asked, turning back to the group. Jai-Ho smiled slightly. "First, we document everything. Then we present the evidence to the Galactic Council's Human Protection Committee. But we need your help to make it work. We need access to your research data," Tai Min explained. "Proof that your technology works. It will show why they were so desperate to stop you." Su-Jin considered for a long moment, then nodded. "I'll help you, but I have conditions." "Name them," Jai-Ho said. "My research stays public. No matter what happens, this technology needs to help everyone, not just the highest bidder." The mercenary team exchanged glances, then Jai-Ho extended his hand, a human gesture of agreement he had learned long ago. "You have our word." As Su-Jin shook his hand, the stars continued their eternal dance beyond the dome. None of them knew it yet, but this unlikely alliance would change the future of terraforming technology forever. "Let's get to work," Su-Jin said, her voice firm with determination. "We have a lot to do, and I suspect we don't have much time." The mercenaries nodded in agreement. Their mission had evolved far beyond a simple capture contract. Now they were fighting for something bigger, the right of all species to have a home among the stars. The massive hearing chamber of the Galactic Council fell silent as the evidence unfolded before them. Holographic displays filled the air, showing document after document, communication logs, financial trails, and technical specifications. Jai-Ho stood at the center of it all, his cybernetic eye glowing steadily as he presented their findings. "The evidence is clear," he stated firmly. "Planetary Reclamation Corporation orchestrated a deliberate attempt to violate the Human Protection Act. They hired our team through shell companies, intending to capture and suppress Lee Su-Jin and her revolutionary atmospheric convergent technology." Around the chamber, council members of various species watched intently. Su-Jin sat in the witness area, her calm presence a stark contrast to the corporate executives fidgeting nervously in their designated section. Tai Min stepped forward, his scales a confident green as his tentacles brought up more displays. "We've documented 17 shell companies, all created within days of each other, all traced back to planetary reclamation servers. Heiyun's 4 eyes swept the chamber as she added, "Their communications reveal a broader conspiracy. Multiple terraforming companies agreed to help suppress this technology, fearing it would make their current methods obsolete. The Council's Chief Justice, a tall being with crystalline features, leaned forward. And the technology itself. Has its effectiveness been verified?" Su-Jin stood, activating her own display. "We conducted a test on an uninhabited toxic world," she explained, showing footage of her atmospheric processor in action. The images showed a barren, poisonous landscape transforming over mere days into a habitable environment. "Traditional terraforming would take decades to achieve these results," she continued. "My process completes it in less than a week, with no toxic byproducts." Du Yun, standing guard near the chamber's entrance, watched the corporate executives' faces fall as they realized the extent of their exposure. Their attempt to stop progress had only hastened its arrival. The council deliberated briefly before rendering their decision. Planetary Reclamation Corporation and its conspirators would face massive fines, loss of terraforming licenses, and criminal charges for their executives. Su-Jin's technology would be protected and developed under Galactic Council oversight. As they left the chamber, Ji-Ho noticed a group of human scientists waiting to speak with Su-Jin. Their eyes shone with hope and excitement about the possibilities her invention offered. "Something's changing," Heiyun observed, her mandibles clicking thoughtfully. "Look at how many species are working together now, all because one human refused to give up on making things better." Ta Nin's scales shifted to a contemplative blue. "Perhaps we found our true calling, not as hunters, but as guardians." Months later, the team stood on the surface of a newly terraformed world, where toxic storms once raged. Gentle breezes now carried the scent of growing things. Su-Jin's atmospheric processor hummed quietly in the background, completing its miraculous work. "The first of many," Su-Jin said, smiling as she checked the readings. "The council has approved projects for 50 more worlds." Ji-Ho watched a flock of introduced birds soar overhead. "We've already received requests from 3 other human scientists for protection. They're working on equally revolutionary projects. And we'll help them all," Du Yun rumbled confidently. "No more letting corporations stop progress for profit." The Shadow Whisper waited in orbit above them, its mission now transformed. The ship that once hunted now protected, ensuring that brilliant minds could work without fear. "Perhaps there's honor in protection rather than capture," Ji-Ho mused, his cybernetic eye taking in the transformed landscape. Su-Jin placed a hand on his shoulder, her expression serene. "There's always honor in choosing to do what's right." As the twin suns set on the new world, the team prepared to leave for their next assignment. Another human scientist, another groundbreaking invention, another chance to ensure that progress would benefit all species. The mercenaries had found their true purpose, not in contracts and credits, but in protecting those who dared to dream of a better galaxy. Their reputation grew not as hunters, but as guardians of innovation and progress. And somewhere in the vast expanse of space, other humans worked on their own revolutionary ideas, knowing that if corporations or criminals tried to stop them, a certain ship with a remarkable crew would appear to ensure their work could continue. The Shadow Whisper had become a symbol of hope rather than fear, its crew dedicated to protecting the future rather than serving the highest bidder. And in that transformation, they had found something more valuable than any contract could offer. They had found their purpose. In the labs behind them, humans and Valerians continued their work, building bridges between what was and what could be. The fear that had driven Rhea to seek him out in tears was gone, replaced by something greater, understanding. Not just of each other, but of what they all might become. The stars seemed brighter that night, as if they too were watching, waiting to see what their children would become. And in the quantum fields that rippled between dimensions, the predecessors smiled, knowing their long wait was finally over. Evolution, they had learned, wasn't something to fear. It was a door, opening to infinite possibilities. And together, they had found the courage to step through. The end.